and fish in the picture. And if you want to add more detail, then you can say that it seems like crane is having a talk with a fish and crab. In this way, you should be able to explain the picture. Now, B number is, why were the fish happy? Why were the fish happy? Now, the answer of this question is not mentioned in the picture. We cannot find out. So, for the answer of this question, now we will go through the text. Now, have a look on the next slide. You can see on the screen a lazy crane. From this topic also, we can know one thing, that one character crane is very much lazy. That means this whole story is based on crane who is very lazy. Now let me read the first paragraph at first. Once upon a time there lived a crane by the side of a pond. It was lazy and wanted to eat the fish in the pond without having to work for it. So one day the crane went to the side of the pond and looked sad. It did not try to catch any fish. There was a wise crab in the pond. He asked the crane why he looked so sad. Now once upon a time there lived a crane. There was a crane. Crane is a type of a bird which has got long beak and long leg as well, as you saw in previous picture. That picture was of crane. It's a bird which feeds on fish. It is so lazy that it did not want to go to the pond and have the fish. It wanted its food or fish without working at all, because if it goes to the pond and if it tries to catch the fish, then it's obvious that fish will try to escape, and that work crane did not like. It did not want to work hard for the food. So it just sad. Okay, it pretended, it was doing acting, but actually it was not sad. It was just pretending to be sad. And the fish were very much, the fish and the crab which used to live in that pond, they were so sad. They were so surprised that why the crane was so sad. What was the reason behind being so sad? And it was not trying to eat the fish also, not trying to catch any fish. So the crab, finally, it was very much wise. It was very much worried about the crane. So it asked that why that crane was sad. The crane said that he had heard some fishermen talking about catching all the fish in the pond. That was why he was worried. He also said that if the fish wanted to be safe, he would carry them to another pond every day. Now, crane finally spoke to that crab, and what the crane said, that I heard some fishermen talking about catching all the fish of the pond, and I am so much worried about the fish who are living in the pond, because the fisherman is about to kill or take all the fish from the pond, so that I am too much worried about this fish. And what else he added was that he said that now if all these fish want to be safe, if they are willing to remain safe, then I am ready to help them. I will carry all these fish to another pond, to new pond, which will be very much safe for them. See, this crane, it was making so big plan, right? It was making so big plan. At first that crane pretended to be sad, and when that wise crab came and asked that why it was sad, then it told a lie that fishermen were talking about catching the fish, so I am worried about those fish. If the fish want to be saved, then I will surely help them. How it is going to help? It is going to help the fish by carrying them to another pond every day. When the fish heard the crane, they were happy and wanted to go to the new pond. So every day some of the fish went with the crane. The crane took some fish each day in its beak to a large rock, where it ate them and left the bones there. Now see what happened. There is a twist in the story. And when this crane and crab were talking to each other about the fisherman, that they are going to catch the fish, and crane is ready to help the fish, it will carry the fish to the new pond. The fish were hearing to the crane, so they felt so much happy that there is a so good friend, there is a crane who is ready to help them. So they were happy, and they agreed, the crane, that they will go to the new pond. So every day what happened was that crane used to come and it used to pick some fish, and the fish also went with the crane. But what happened is that the crane, instead of taking them to any safe pond or to any safe place, what that crane used to do? That crane used to carry the fish in its beak, and it used to take beside the large rock, and there it used to eat those fish, and it used to leave all the bones of fish beside the rock. See, the fish and the crab, they trusted the crane, but crane is not trustworthy. The crane was so bad that what it used to do, it used to carry every day one fish, and it used to have beside the large rock, leaving all the bones of those fish there. Now let's know about more what happens in the next slide. The crab saw the fish becoming less in the pond, and it also saw the crane growing fatter. It began to wonder whether the crane was really helping the fish. Now the crab was watching all these activity, that the crane used to come, crane used to pick one fish every day, and it used to fly away. Every day this was going on, and crab observed these all things, that from the pond the fish are becoming less, whereas the crane was growing fatter and fatter. Okay, every day the crane was not having the fish, it was not eating the fish of the pond, but the fish were becoming less and the crane was growing fatter. So the crab wondered, it started thinking that what was actually happening. Why was the crane growing fatter? It was not eating fish at all, but also it was growing fatter. So it wanted to know, either I also want to go to that new pond, because maybe the fishermen will come and they will kill me also, or they will take me also. So I also would like to go to the new pond. When this crab told the thing to crane, then crane agreed that it will be taking that crab also to the new pond. Now crab, it was on the back of the crane, and the crane was flying towards the rock. Now when the crane reached near to the rock, what happened was that the crab saw the fish bones. The fish bones which the crane left over there. And after that the crab knew everything that the crane was lying. Okay, it came to know that the crane was pretending to be sad, and the thing that crane told, that the fisherman will be taking all the fish away from the pond, that was also a lie, and crane was also pretending to be helping all the fish. It knew all the things. So the crab was very much angry, and what the crab did was that it tightened its claws around the neck of the crane and snapped its head off. Now what the crab did, see here, it tightened means to hold tightly its claws. Later on you will see in a previous picture also, you saw the picture of the crab, isn't it? It has got its claw. If it holds tightly with the claws, then we get harmed. So here also the crab was so angry that it made its claws so tight around the neck of the crane that the neck of the crane was broken. Snapped here means break. Okay, snapped, break, tightened, to hold tightly. It tightened its claws around the neck of the crane and snapped its head off. The crane died. The crab crawled back to the pond and told all the fish about the lies the crane had been telling. Now when the crab was angry, it tightened its claws around the neck of the crane. What happened? The head of the crane was snapped, was broken, and finally that lazy crane died. And that crab fell down. It crawled back to the pond, to the old pond, and the fish which were remaining in that pond, the crab told all those fish that whole thing was a lie. Crane was just lying just to eat those fish without working at all. So the remaining fish and the crab were safe. It was just because the crab was so wise and it was ready to help the fish at any cost. So from this story, what you learned? What you learned from this story? Okay, now the moral we will be discussing on the whiteboard. Please have a look on the board. Now from this lesson, a lazy crane. The crane was lazy, isn't it? So what you learned from this lesson? One thing is that we should not be its result to the bad end. Now see, so many morals we have got. What we can understand, or what thing we can know is that what we should do, we should not be lazy. Just because the crane was lazy, so it started thinking. It was lazy, it did not work at all. You might have heard one proverb that empty mind devil's workshop. Empty mind devil's workshop. When we are not working at all, many bad things come inside our mind. So the same thing was happening to crane also. It was not working at all, it was idle, no work. So bad ideas came in his mind. So what we should do? We should not be lazy. First thing, we should develop the habit of working. Not being lazy means we should be working every time. Be wise to all, like the crab was wise to the fish, isn't it? At first it was wise to the crane as well. When crane was very sad, it went to the crane and asked the problem, why you were sad? It was so wise. Later on, it was the crab was wise to whom? To the fish, because it was thinking about the fish, that why the fish were becoming less in number in the pond. Now next is do not tell a lie. Crane, it told a lie, so it had to die at last. The last one is bad deeds result to the bad end. Crane, it was doing bad work. So when you do bad deeds, the end will also be bad. Bad deeds result to the bad end. These things we can learn from this lesson. I guess you are clear about this. Now I will teach you, or I will read one whole story once again, so that you will listen to the pronunciation and you can learn the story properly. So have a look on the slide once again. Okay. A lazy crane. Once upon a time, there lived a crane by the side of a pond. It was lazy and wanted to eat the fish in the pond without having to work for it. So one day, the crane went to the side of the pond and looked sad. It did not try to catch any fish. There was a wise crab in the pond. He asked the crane why he looked so sad. The crane said that he had heard some fishermen talking about catching all the fish in the pond. That was why he was worried. He also said that if the fish wanted to be safe, he would carry them to another pond every day. When the fish heard the crane, they were happy and wanted to go to the new pond. So every day, some of the fish went with the crane. The crane took some fish each day in its beak to a large rock, where it ate them and left the bones there. Next slide. The crab saw the fish becoming less in the pond, and it also saw the crane growing fatter. It began to wonder whether the crane was really helping the fish. So it asked the crane to take it to the other pond. The crane agreed to do so. It carried the crab and flew towards the rock. When the crane came near the rock, the crab saw the fish bones and knew that the crane was lying. The crab was very angry. It tightened its claws around the neck of the crane and snapped its head off. The crane died. The crab crawled back to the pond and told all the fish about the lies the crane had been telling. Okay, that's it. You also practice at home to read the text. Now let's go to the next slide. Now you can see the picture. See, in the first picture, this first picture was displayed in the first slide also as well, isn't it? The crane and the crab. You can see the crane talking to crab and fish. In the second picture, you can see a crane holding a fish in its beak. It was the crane told a lie that it will be taking all the fish to the safe pond, to the new pond, isn't it? So it is carrying those fish in its beak. Now in the third picture, you can see the crab and the crane talking to each other. When did crab talk to the crane? When the crab felt that something is going wrong because the fish were decreasing, whereas the crane was being fatter and fatter. So crab is telling crane to take it also to another pond. Now this is the story. You should be able to look the pictures and create one story with the help of the pictures also. Okay, next slide. Now we will be dealing with the exercise which are mentioned in your textbook as well. This is in your textbook. You can see your textbook. A number, match the words with their meanings. Crane, crab, fisherman, worried, tightened, snapped. Now meanings are given column B. Held firmly, F-I-R-M-L-Y, a spelling error is here, please correct it. Held firmly, very sad, broke, a 10-footed water animal, a bird with a long neck, it eats fish, people who catch fish. I guess I have told all the meanings of these words when I was teaching, when we were learning about, when we were reading that story. Now I will give you few seconds so that you can do by yourself, and later on we will recheck. Okay, have a look on next slide. Now see, answers are given here. Crane, a bird with a long neck, it eats fish. Crab, a 10-footed water animal. Fisherman, people who catch fish. Worried, very sad. Tightened, held firmly. Snapped, broke. At last that crane's neck was snapped by whom? By crab, right? Snapped means broke or break. Now these are some of the difficult words which are in your lesson, so you need to memorize these all. Now next slide. In this we will be dealing with question answers. This is also mentioned in your textbook. First question is, where did the crane live? Where did the crane live? B. Why was the crane sad? Who wanted to know why the crane was sad? How did the crane want to save the fish? Where did the crane take the fish? Why did the crab have a doubt on the crane? Now one by one we will be dealing with each and every question answer. You also think answers from your side, and please check with my answer either your answers will be correct or not. Now A number, where did the crane live? I guess it's very much easy. The crane lived near the pond. The crane lived near the pond. B number, why was the crane sad? Why was the crane sad? Was actually crane sad? No, isn't it? Crane was just pretending to be sad. Actually, the crane was pretending to be sad so that it could eat all the fish of the pond without working at all. Once again I am going to tell you, why was the crane sad? If we have learned already the lesson, we know that crane was actually not sad, isn't it? It was just pretending to be sad. Actually, the crane was pretending to be sad so that it could eat the fish of the pond without working at all. Now this is the answer of B number. Now C, who wanted to know why the crane was sad? When the crane was sad, who was thinking about crane? Yes, that was fish or a crab. Yes, that was crab, right? Crab wanted to know why the crane was sad. Crab wanted to know why the crane was sad. D number, how did the crane want to save the fish? How did the crane want to save the fish? What did the crane say that? The crane said that it wanted to save the fish by carrying or by taking fish every day to another pond, isn't it? So the crane wanted to save the fish by taking fish every day to a new pond. Once again, the crane wanted to save the fish by taking fish every day to a new pond. E number, where did the crane take the fish? Where did the crane take the fish? It's very easy. The crane took the fish near the rock. The crane took the fish near the rock. F number, why did the crab have a doubt on the crane? The crane had a doubt on the crane because the number of fish were decreasing in the pond, whereas on the other side the crane was being fatter every day. It's a bit long, so listen once again. The crab had a doubt on the crane because the number of fish were decreasing every day, whereas the crane was being fatter day by day. Okay, one thing you need to take care when you are writing answers of the question is that you should look at the tense also. Like for example, in A number, where did the crane live? Did is here. So when we write the answer, we should change live into verb to form, that is the crane lived. I said lived, isn't it? I didn't tell live. The crane lived. Likewise, why was the crane? The crane was, it remains same. Who wanted to know the why the crane was sad? The crane wanted to know. D number, how did the crane want, as did is here, so that want will be changed into wanted in answer. Likewise in E number also same rule applies, did is there, so we will change take into took, the crane took. Likewise in F number also same, the crab had, have will be changed into had. Why? Because there is did in the question. In this way your homework will be solving this question answer also in your exercise book. Now have a look on the next slide. Now this exercise is also in your textbook after question answer. Now make sentences from the table. This exercise is related with giving reasons. Whenever we talk about giving reasons, then which word is related with giving reasons? Because is related. Because this we give reason in this way. Now first number, I went to the dentist. I went to the dentist because. Now what may be the reason of going to the dentist? For example, can I say that I went to the dentist because I had a headache? Can I give this reason? I went to the dentist because I had a headache. When we have headache, do we go to dentist? No, we do not go to dentist, right? So you have to find the appropriate reason from the next column. I went to the dentist. What will be the answer? Think for a while. I changed my dress because he was fined by the police, because Kim could not come, because she went to the market, because they did not phone me, because. Now see, I guess you have thought, isn't it? I went to the dentist because, what will be the correct answer? I had a toothache. I went to the dentist because I had a toothache. I changed my dress because, now search the best option. I changed my dress because the old one was torn. The old one was torn. He was fined by the police. He was fined by the police because he had no license. Because he had no license. Kim could not come because Kim could not come because he was caught in the traffic jam. He was caught in the traffic jam. She went to the market because she went to the market because she wanted some fresh fruit. Now the last one, they did not phone me because the line was busy. In this way you can make how many sentences? 6 sentences with these hints given. Now in our next slide, add suitable reasons to these expressions. Add suitable reasons to these expressions. You have to give reasons to these expressions. You have to do by yourself. Okay, I read a newspaper daily because. I read a newspaper daily because. What will be the answer? Please think about appropriate reason and do it by yourself. She earns much money because. Add reason. They were late because. Likewise, I am hungry because. Now one I will be doing. I read a newspaper daily because I am very curious to know about the current affairs. I read a newspaper daily because we get to know about different places. In this way you can add reasons. In this way you can add reasons to those given expressions. Now from our lesson also we can make a few sentences using because or providing reasons. I will write few sentences from a lazy crane. Okay, you might have not noticed also. Now the first sentence I am going to make is that A crab asked, or the crab was worried about the crane because. Now I guess you know the reason, isn't it? The crab was worried about the crane because it was looking sad. It was looking sad. One more example. The crane wanted to help the fish. Why? Because the fishermen were making a plan to catch all the fish. Now see here, I have used because and gave appropriate reason. In this way only you can find many such sentences in the text. In today's class we learned one story, a lazy crane. We got the moral from this story also. And the next thing what we did was that we learned about the use of because also. Because is used to give reasons. From the lesson also I have extracted two sentences using because. The crab was worried about the crane because it was looking sad. The crane wanted to help the fish because the fishermen were making a plan to catch all the fish. Now I guess you are clear about the text, about the story and the use of because as well. And today you have got the very nice moral from the story, from a lazy crane, that you should not tell lie, you should work hard, you should not be lazy at all. And next thing, you should be wise. If you do wrong deeds or bad deeds, obviously bad things will happen to us. Like crane was doing bad deeds to the fish, so at last what happened? The crane had to die because it was doing bad deeds. So that's all for today. In our next class we'll be meeting very soon. Till then, please do your work, study hard. Thank you very much.